Steven Totillo has a double scoop. Says Brian Horton is no longer creative director at Marvel's Wolverine from PlayStation and Insomniac. He's now creative director of Perfect Dark from Xbox and the Initiative. Ratchet and Clank leads are now running Wolverine. Let's
Damn.
read the story.
Yes.
Okay, let's read the story. Thankfully, it's not long. Okay, so Steven Totillo has this here. It says two major upcoming first-party video games have gotten big changes at the top as part of an unusual leadership shuffle. Brian Horton, who was publicly named as the creative director on Sony Insomniac's upcoming Marvel's Wolverine PlayStation 5 game in 2021, 3 years ago, has been off the project since the summer.
Oh, wow.
The game is now being helmed by creative director Marcus Smith. A rep for Sony Interactive Entertainment has confirmed to GameFile Mike Daly will serve as Wolverine's new game director. Wolverine's previously announced game director, Cameron Christian, will remain at the studio in a different role. Smith and Daly are a formidable new duo for Wolverine. They previously held creative director and game director roles, respectively, on Insomniac's acclaimed 2021 PlayStation 5 release, Ratchet and Clank. Oh, that's right. The one that they fired the entire team because it didn't sell shit. Got it. The changes atop the Wolverine development team are the result of creative decisions around the game, two sources told GameFile. SIE's rep declined to comment on the reason for the role changes of Wolverine. So most likely, Brian Horton was like, "What the fuck are we making here? The shit looks like shit." And they're like, "Nah, man, it looks good." And then that's where the creative decision might have come from. As for Horton, who previously worked as the creative director on another lauded Insomniac game, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, he has already found a new high-profile gig. He's the new creative director of the Xbox published Perfect Dark, the highly anticipated first-person shooter that is being co-developed by Microsoft's The Initiative and Embracer-owned Crystal Dynamics. Horton will be bringing his wealth of experience to the upcoming reboot of the classic Secret Agent series. Also, he's going to know all the behind the scenes stuff. Xbox is about to get mad details. You know what I'm saying? They're going to know everything
Well, Wolverine?
about PlayStation, about
Yeah,
Wolverine, what's happening
PlayStation,
over
yes,
there.
but, like, man, that's rough.
So that's it, man. That's it. Another person who jumped ship, who said, "I'm out. I'm not going to be dealing with these people. Peace out. See you later." And they're done. This is a wild turn of events, I would say, because we knew Wolverine was in tough shape, right? We knew it. But I also feel like I feel like Insomniac is handcuffed, right? Like that's what I feel. And when I look back at like Sunset Overdrive, and even like the first the first Spider-Man and Miles Morales, like that's a different that's a different feel than what they deliver with Spider-Man 2 and what we saw of Wolverine, right? Where Sunset Overdrive was something new. They didn't repeat that from another game that they had made. No, they made different games. They were always doing different things, right? Keeping the creative wheels spinning. And then Sony transitions into broke bitch mode, right? So they transition into broke bitch mode and they're like, "Yo, you can't do anything special anymore. I need you to go ahead and just make the old shit. Okay. That's it. I need you to take that old engine. You need to work on that nothing new, like just make it work, right? And I feel like, you get handcuffed with that idea, like creatively, you're kind of fucked, right? It's like
Yeah.
like
So
I don't I
limited.
yeah, like I want to be able to push forward, not have to just basically figure out how to do new things with the same shit that I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. For me, I feel like the whole working with Crystal Dynamics and Initiative and being the creative director on that side, I think it's cool. I think this might have more of an effect on like a future project.
Yes, I
Because
agree.
I think Crystal Dynamics has been handling most of the work here, and I think
Yeah.
we are getting towards the end, right? We're thinking
A little
maybe
help here and there, maybe some, but not anything that's gonna be impactful with the game, at the moment. It's a little, yeah, too
I don't
close
think
to the
so.
finish line.
I think he'll make some decisions, but
Mhm.
not like
Yeah,
life-changing decisions,
nothing
right?
big. Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
So he's so was this I forget. Perfect Dark, was that one that's for next year?
No,
So that's the one that not dated for next year. So that's a
not
possible
there
launch
yet.
title
No,
for the series. Okay. So so yeah, so that's the
or
thing. So
later.
for
We don't know
me,
when it's coming out, but yeah, it could be a series launch. Well, a 2026 title.
yeah, exactly. Wait. Were you just about to name a different series?
No, no, it could be for like the series consoles. It could be for the next gen console, whatever series
I thought you were just about
X2.
to to name the next console like you knew
Oopsies.
something. I was like,
No, it was like
What?
Series
Oopsies.
X next or something like that. I don't know what the next gen,
Oh, okay. All
but
right, all
it
right.
could be the next gen release, or it could be, well, it's gonna be cross gen either way, right? You would expect it's gonna be cross gen either way.
I'll send with the series
But
generation, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
so
But yeah, so I mean, I don't think this means a lot to this particular game. I mean, it can, I guess, theoretically, but I feel like Crystal is still running the show for the most part. That's what we heard, that they're mostly the ones doing it. Um, so I don't think this is gonna have too much effect there. Um, but the fact that, again, it's like you don't go from PlayStation to Xbox and not see the like how wild that is, right? Like that's a choice, right? Like either he was looking or maybe Xbox was like, yo, bro,
Get in the
we
trunk.
we want you over here. Come make some real shit, okay? Not some bitch shit like you're doing over there. No same engine nonsense. Let's push. Let's do dope things. And I think that that's going to be an easy sell for a lot of creative people, right? Who don't want to get stuck in that fucking hamster wheel that Sony created in Insomniac, man. Like that's crazy. Like, they got rid of most of the Ratchet and Clank team, so clearly they kept like the head people, and look at what they do. They put in the head person. So what does that mean? What experience, like, you know what I'm saying? Like what how is the Ratchet and Clank experience gonna transfer to fucking Wolverine?
Which was already in rough shape, right? We saw Wolverine in the city running wild, looking at
Climbing
fish.
up
He
buildings
looked
and
crazy.
walking on
Um,
fucking
yes,
wires.
the game did not seem, and I understand maybe early stages, right? Did not seem very promising, just like the premise of the game, right? So it felt like they were like, you know what, let's go ahead and use what we have from Spider-Man and just kind of shake it up a little bit and kind of figure out how to make it a Wolverine world, right? So it didn't seem promising. So I don't know how they parted ways exactly. Did he just did he leave? Like, did he do you think there was somebody got let go? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how this happened, but normally I'm against like bringing people in, right? And it's like, what does it matter at this point, right? I feel like everybody who's leaving PlayStation wants nothing to do with PlayStation. Um, so it's not like they're sending a Bungie in, to come and ruffle feathers.
Agreed. Agreed. 100%.
I'm excited to see what he adds to like future projects. But yeah, this one it's kind of like I think like it's kind of rolling. He might help here and there with certain things, but not necessarily anything impactful that's gonna make a big deal.
I agree, babe. I just don't. I feel like they're too far in for any big choices. I think he'll obviously, being the creative director, he's going to, add his little flair here and there or whatever he might,
Yeah.
his thoughts and ideas on it. But I don't think you're going to do a big pivot, right? I think they're going to want to avoid that, if anything, because they kind of been just smooth sailing after they got through all the rough patches in the beginning, right? So the last thing you want to do now is
Yeah.
kind of be like, here's the creative director, so now he's going to come and like change up everything. Like
No, I do think
I
that
don't
this
see
is
that.
perfect though, a perfect way to kind of like bring someone who already knows what they're doing to kind of bring them in and get comfortable in with the, environment and how they do things and, be kind of like ready for the next, hurrah.
Agreed. Agreed. Uh Demo, what do you think, man? What do you think about this whole PlayStation bleeding workers? Actually, real quick, I didn't even notice this shit real fast. My homie Sir Rissalot, my dude, thank you, brother, for being here, man. Thank you for that $5 super chat. Says, wow, I just stacked out Game Pass a year out. Thanks, guys, for the link. CD keys worked out great. Too bad I can't buy the next 24 years. LOL. Oh my god. Crazy ass dude
That's awesome,
who
bro.
bought that
Hargeet, thank
shit.
you so
Good shit,
much,
man.
bro.
Yeah, it's
That was the
awesome.
CD keys one, which was a little bit more expensive. Did put the link in for the Annabelle one, which is even cheaper. But either
Oh,
way,
yes,
Nice.
yes, yes. Yep. I mean, it's a win's a win, man. So kudos on you,
exactly.
man. Good job. All right, Demo. What do you think, man? Do you think this is just natural? It's normal for Wolverine just to lose his creative director when it's looked like shit for so long, and now they're magically going to Xbox. I mean, for me, it's pretty clear. It looks like they're leaving to go to safer shores, right? I don't know. That's what I feel. What do you think, brother?
Oh man, like this could be anything. It could be a move, you know, a strategic move made by Xbox to, you know what I mean, to like shake things up over there at Sony PlayStation. We seeing Xbox acquire, right, other studios, but maybe we can start seeing them acquiring talent. Like you don't need to buy the whole studio sometimes, like they did with Tango. They wanted that talent, but instead of getting the talent, they got the whole studio. Now they can just go ahead and be like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy you and take you and put you in one of my studios that I already got people working on. It's almost like 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 the same way that it works in sports, right? Like baseball, for example, you get a new coach, you get a new catcher, you're gonna get a new pitcher, and you put your team together, your all-star team together, that you don't even have to, like, like, I don't know, like train them, right? They already come
Yeah.
prepare to be efficient and to do what you want to do, right? So I mean, this is good, because it's shaking things up, right? And it's also, I don't know, because I don't know how good he's gonna be for Perfect Dark, because for what I've seen with Wolverine, even though it was like in the beginning stages, it didn't look like it was gonna be, in my opinion, anything special. Oh, it's too early to tell, right? To in the build, to be fair, because the polish could do wonders for a game, right? That looks like, almost like nothing, like it looks like a PS3 game basically, but they can like add animations, add like different textures, different, like, the lighting and everything. When you put it together, it could like, it could look good at the end, right, when it's done completely. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much of an impact it's gonna have on Perfect Dark, but as a creative director, I don't really know what they really do. So if he, I don't know, maybe Hard Geek can tell me like exactly what they do, because it sounds like a fancy name, creative director. So what in the hell you do? You help create, you come out with ideas, you point the game and the developer towards a certain direction. Like, you know, like I got so many questions because like we know about video games, but we know so little about game development, which is why I don't like to talk about it that much, because I'm really like, you know, some other people are like, oh, you know, so these developers said that the Series doesn't have the memory, this and that, but like there's so many positions when it comes to game development. Like there's art, there's like actual people who like do programming and all of this. Like it's a very complex you know, process that includes a lot of different people that have a bunch of different skills, right? So the fact that you work in the project doesn't mean that you know anything about the technical aspect of the game, right? Like not necessarily anyways. So I don't know, if anybody can tell me what the hell this position does for the game. I would like to know, for real.
Well, I mean, from my understanding, creative director means they lead the creative on the game, right? So they lead the direction of the game creatively. And I mean, it's pretty much like they take ownership of it, right? Like so
Mm.
the vision is theirs of what they think the game should be, and and that's just basically the way it moves, and then it's up to everybody else to come through to help make that game. Um, so I mean, it's a pretty for him to come into an Xbox, first party studio and become the creative director on a game is pretty. I mean, it's pretty significant, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a big thing that this dude just came over to
Yeah.
do that. So the act of what happened itself is huge, right? It's very very significant. I just don't personally know how much change there'll be. He will obviously be making decisions going forward with Crystal Dynamics on what's going to happen. But I don't know what stage we're in on this. I don't know how far we are on
yeah,
this. I don't know if we are just a couple years away where most of this is already figured out and we're doing it, or maybe this is a further away game. I mean, we don't know. Frankly, we have enough games that stuff like that doesn't stress us out because
yeah.
we have more than enough games
We're
coming.
not in a
So
hurry. Yeah.
we're not in a hurry, no. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's not a crazy situation. But the other thing to consider is the fact that a lot of people want to claim that Xbox is dying or Xbox is dead. It seems pretty weird that you know somebody who worked for PlayStation
Yep.
is no longer working for PlayStation, is coming over to the dead side.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the way that necessarily rocks out. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's that's the way that those people make decisions, right? But Hargeet, what do you think, man? What do you feel about this? Does it matter? Is it a big impact?
So I think a little bit of what Demo was saying is like, look, you know, Insomniac had some changes, and so it might be that he was just reaching out to see where he could go, and the initiative is like, sure, we'd love to have you on. And remember, initiative kind of their structure is to sort of incubate something and then have a lead team go make it, right?
Well,
And it
it
could be that
was at least, right? It was at least. We don't know if that's their method
if
going
it continues
forward.
that way or not. But it could also like
Because
the person that was
are we still hoping that Crystal's getting absorbed?
I don't know if that happens or not. But that doesn't mean that they can't, go to other teams to make the next game. But that also does mean that maybe they're working on something else. And whoever was doing that work, they're like, we could probably pull that person from there and start the next game, right? And say, let's start them on the creative lead of the next thing we're doing. You can come in and kind of handle this piece, right? And work with Crystal and continue that vision. So that's a potential right there. Or maybe it is just, hey, we want to have somebody focus on that. Why don't you come in and kind of lead that? Or it could just be an opportunity to just get somebody from, a pretty good development team and bring them over. So it's any one of those things, right? So I, how much do you read into it? Certainly, you could say that Insomniac's not in a great spot when you have all these layoffs and whatnot that happen to them, right? So, you gotta, assume that sort of the mindset there, or the environment is not that happy, I guess. We just like, overall, where are they? What is their vision, and what are they going to do long term? And I don't mean from a game perspective, just like as a company, right? And
We know they're
whereas
not
you see
happy, bro.
whereas you see the other side, and it's a lot more about creative freedom to go do
Freedom.
what you guys want, right? And that is always appealing to people who are at that level, right? To say, oh, you're not going to interfere with my decisions. Oh, that's awesome. I want to go do that, right? And you're not going to just cancel my game. I get to go make what I want to. Like that's kind of cool. And maybe that's all it is. It's just like, hey, I just want a change of scenery, and like
Some
where I am
security.
right now is
Yeah,
it's just
stability.
it feels like not so great here right now, and I just want to move to somewhere that feels better for me, right? And it could just be that. But you know, I don't know what the status is. Like you're pointing out, like is the game kind of done already? Is it kind of like 80% there? Like, are they really going to change much? I don't know, right? There is a potential that there's still time to make some changes. Um, what Xbox usually does, is they'll show you the game when it's about a couple years out without a date, right? And say, here's a teaser of what's to come. And then the following year or two, when they're getting closer to release, they'll show you a more, closer to release build, right? In kind of a gameplay mode, right? They already showed us some gameplay for this. So it doesn't seem like it's that far out. I would say that it is potentially a 2026 game. Now there's just the fun of where do they fit it, right? Because they actually do have too many games. And like, so they have to slot it in where it doesn't get overshadowed by the many other games they have to release, right? So they'll have to figure out whether it makes sense to put it out in 2026 or push it to 2027, right? And they'll figure out where to put it. So it gives them time to kind of polish it, play around, maybe add some more content, maybe even change sort of a visual tone if they want to, things like that. But that would require some massive changes, right? So we'll see. Maybe there is some need to do that. Maybe they're kind of 40% done, 60% done, and this gets an opportunity to kind of complete it in a different mode. What I understood, though, was that kind of Crystal took over the majority of the design and development of this game, which is fine. They're a great studio, so like that's totally a great way to go. I don't know how much there is an interaction. I'm sure there's some between Initiative and them. And maybe this was just a way to kind of make that work better. I don't know. Like it could be that. I would read a lot more into the Insomniac part of it in saying, why do they want to leave, right? Why does the person want to leave? And I would see that more as the issue, much more so than anything with Perfect Dark. We've already seen it. It looks fantastic. So that's in good shape. Certainly Microsoft has no issue hiring a very talented Crystal Dynamics to finish a game for them. So that's certainly not an issue there. Where is Insomniac, right? And so is that indicative of things to come there, right? Is Wolverine really going to shape up to be something good, or is it kind of floundering? We still have yet to see the Venom DLC or game or whatever you want to call it, right? That was supposed to come out. That's supposed to be next year, and we don't know anything about that yet. This was supposed to be 2026. Wolverine. I don't know that it's going to make 2026. They're kind of in a weird state, right? So, is this indicative of sort of the mindset there? The enthusiasm level, is it high or is it low, or are they like, what's going on? Am I going to have a job, right? Like, I don't know what they're feeling, right? And that's what I would read into it more so than anything else, is like, when you see those kind of changes, why did he decide to leave? Is it indicative of something at the Sony level, much more so than Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. So like you
Jesse P
just
says Wolverine was his dream project, and yet he
right, and so
left.
you gotta
Very
ask,
curious.
okay, what's going on? What was he like being told you're gonna do it this way? Is there like what's going on? Right? Was there interference? You know,
Don't forget,
hopefully they
Marky,
don't
we
cancel
saw
it.
so much. We saw, right, baby? We did the show a bunch of times where we were literally highlighting these people who were leaving Insomniac,
Yes.
going to CD Project
Right?
Red, going to
And
these other places, and you see these posts, and they're ecstatic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're not just like,
they're, like,
oh, starting my new
happier,
job,
right?
it's
And
excited. They're like, oh, I'm so excited to be around creative people
Yeah,
and this
I
and
can't
that. Like
imagine
they
the
were fucking
energy.
pumped, dude.
Yeah, I can't imagine the energy in there. I can't imagine the aura, especially after what happened with Concord. The demeanor over there has to be just insane.
The
And
So,
knowing
morale.
that you're stuck here, like you're stuck
yeah,
in this hamster wheel, right? This is your life. If you don't like, there's a difference between saying, "Oh man, I would love to work on like a big superhero game in my career, right? I would love to work on a Spider-Man or a this or that once in my career, right?" There's a whole nother thing where it's like, "Oh, this is all
that's all
I'm
you get to
doing
do now.
yeah,
forever
Yeah.
now."
yeah.
Like that changes
Yeah.
You're
everything, you know what I'm saying?
restrained, right? We're
And
not saying here creatively go ahead and figure this out, see what you want to do, what kind of world do you want to create.
Yeah.
It's we're talking about a restrained situation. You're also seeing a lot of people being let go. So what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and wait and say, "Well, let's see if I'm next," or do I go ahead and move it along and see what else I can find? Over on the
Yeah.
other side where they seem to be always looking for new talent and trying to reach new levels, right? So it's just a whole different thing. But that whole thing, waiting to see who's next, who's gonna go, and if they're gonna keep you, if you're gonna be there at their mercy, like that's a big deal.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so you can kind of get like you were saying morale, right? You can kind of get that there may be something going on there. That's what I would read into this much more so than anything else is that the number of people leaving, especially at a high level like this, it usually has something to do with that. I mean, it could be another thing where they were actually trying to actively recruit. I don't think that's the case here, though. I think this was really just the person wanted to leave Insomniac, and yeah, I don't know how like what the status is with Wolverine. Do we know if it's going to get canceled? I don't know, right? Like you have to like look at the amount of money it costs to make these games, and with the hammer coming down, could they be canceling some of these things that cost so much with the licensing? I
Not
don't know.
just
These are all the
canceling, Margie,
headaches.
but how about pay cuts? Like, what if they have to go ahead and
Yeah.
also be like, "Well, listen, with everything that's going on, we can't continue to pay the same. This is your new
Yeah.
pay now." Like, we
or
just
like
don't know
raises that might have been promised are
exactly
now
that are not happening
gone,
anymore.
Gone.
right?
No
Or
Promotions.
bonuses and
bonuses
stuff
or
like that. Yeah.
perks, bonuses
I
all
mean, it's just
gone,
yeah,
right?
it's crazy stuff, right? So, yeah, and like those are the things I read into it. I think it's great to have talent, and if the person wants to like help out Perfect Dark, that's great. They must have seen some capability there and said, yeah, why not? Let's bring you on, and we can certainly leverage you to make Perfect Dark even better. Why not? That's fine. Maybe he brings in some set pieces, right? That say, okay, we can have this like nice little action cutscene thingy. Cool. I'm all for that. That's fine. Right, and that's kind of the creative vision thing, right? Is like to set the tone, how the story is going to get approached, how you're going to mechanically go through in the game and get the story right. That's kind of the stuff that they work on, and that's cool. If you want to go do that, that's awesome, right? Like some of the stuff we saw in Miles, awesome. It's great stuff, right? So I'd love to see that kind of thing. But yeah, I read this more as something's wrong with Insomniac than I do much more so than anything to do with Xbox just getting another great talent, right? That's awesome. But I don't know, like the whole Sony PlayStation Studios thing, like again, their game for multiplayer Spider-Man was canceled because somebody probably told them that this isn't good enough, right? And so that was another thing they were passionately trying to do, and they were told no. Their Ratchet and Clank next game was also canceled, right? And it's the studio that, by the way, has done the most output this generation for that company, and like
Mhm.
Yeah, imagine going to Obsidian and doing this kind of thing, right? They have been putting out games freaking almost every year for Xbox, and instead Xbox is like, okay, we'll fund more stuff. Go ahead, have more things. Let's go make Outer Worlds while you're making Avowed. Sure, you want to make Pentiment. Sure, why not? Let's go do that. Make Grounded. Right? They're letting them go. They're letting them do these
Yeah.
things. Instead, the Insomniac side of it is your game is getting canceled. You get layoffs. Like, how can that feel good? It just it is what it is, right? But so I think that's
all
what
of
it's
PlayStation
really all
at
about.
this point, Hargate.
It is.
Like
It's
that's
sad,
all
but-
of PlayStation at this point, bro.
Right?
Like that's every
yeah,
angle. Like every
it's sad.
like you see it, and it's just like they're floundering, man. They're dying. Not like PlayStation the brand, but like PlayStation first party studios, they are suffering, right? They're
Yeah.
suffering in a big way. They're not able to, like, again, like I've never been a PlayStation dude. I've always been an Xbox dude, but
Yeah.
I always, once I could, I always had a PlayStation for the exclusives, right? They would have, certain games that they made. Uncharted, I always loved, and Last of Us and shit like that, that were, big deals to me, and I enjoyed it. So that's why I had it. But it's like they're not there anymore. Like I don't think that PlayStation can suit a person like me anymore, because I think I don't really care for their shit in general. So I only show up for the big bangs. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm not here to see what you figure out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not
Yeah, you're not here
that's not what
for
I
the
signed up
ride to
for.
tolerate the
Yeah.
nonsense. It's like I'm here for what's already figured out, and I'm not sure that what's left of those studios, that or the studios that was able to go ahead and produce that type of game. I'm not sure that there's much left other than the names, right? But yeah, when you're starting to let go of what the talent that makes that studio special, come on, man. How are you gonna go
Or
ahead
This
you
is
and
what I
can't
show
was
up
afraid
retain
of.
it.
with the
When
same type of game?
Yeah, this is what I was afraid of, was when you go muck with studios and tell them go make live service games, usually it ends very poorly, because the people who want to make the single player awesome game, they leave because they don't want to do it. They don't want to do the multiplayer thing, right? They're focused on, I want to make a single player set piece based game, and now you're telling me to do something I'm not comfortable doing, right? And they leave, and that just kills the studio. It's happened time and time again. This is what I was afraid of. Like, they made these stellar games in the PS4 gen, and then they told them, "Hey, let's make all live games." And how's that working out? It's just not. It's a terrible thing to do. So here's where we are, right? So
Listen, the beauty of this all is when you get to kind of see from this level where you start seeing these types of move happening. I'm sorry, but the as much as, no matter how it came about or how it happened, the fact that the person who was running Wolverine left and is now running an Xbox game, I mean, that shows you how things have changed. Remember, we were in this situation in the beginning of the initiative's life
Yep.
cycle, right? Where they had a very different plan, right? Where they were going to they hired a bunch of rock stars, right? Like a bunch of big name people. And they thought they were going to have like this flat level, and everybody was going to be able to make decisions, and nothing came from that. So they changed it all. Few people stayed. And one of the people who stayed was the guy who worked on Sunset Overdrive, right? I forget his name. I don't remember his name. Drew, maybe there's something Drew. I don't know if that's
Drew was
blanking it up.
the guy, Drew Murray is the guy that's running it, but he was from Crystal.
No, but he's from Insomniac. Drew Murray was
So somebody from Insomniac did join, but that was a different person.
no. Check. Drew Murray is the Insomniac dude. David Gallagher is the Crystal guy.
Yes, Gallagher.
Gallagher is the guy who run. He still is the person in charge of.
And where is
Chargers.
Murray? Is he still at Insomniac?
Murray left to Insomniac. So
yeah, is he
left.
still?
I don't know if he got fired in that last round.
So
But
is he? Yeah, is he still there? Let's see. Let's find out.
double check. But that's where we were, right? Because that shows you the position we were in, right? We were in a different position. We weren't as strong. Oh, echo. Oh, I think it's gone. We weren't as strong, and we had all this kind of doubt around Xbox, and then all of a sudden, they left, right? And he gave some bullshit experience. I mean, maybe it wasn't. I know somebody got sick or something, he claims, and then magically he's like, well, I'm guess the sickness is over, and now I'm starting at PlayStation. It's like, okay, dude, sure. But yeah, so he left, right? But then, like, look at how times are changing, right? Xbox is in a whole nother trajectory now, right? Like, they're in a whole nother place, they're on a whole nother path, a path that PlayStation can't even dream of getting on. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is they're not in the same league anymore, right? And again, you could look at short term and think about games. If you're looking short term, guess what? Xbox has it covered. Tons of games coming out, right? But when you're thinking long term, Xbox has it all planned out. They have the roadmap, and all they're going to do to Xbox's future is add more to it. No one is worried about Xbox having things taken away, right? It's all about what is going to be added. What more are we getting, right? And those type of moves are going to be things that are going to create even bigger distances between where Xbox is and where everybody else is, right? Because they're going to be making moves that no one else can make. And honestly, you look at where PlayStation is right now, and it's like they are in a dark place, right? They're in a place where it's not exciting to be a PlayStation fan if you were one, right? There's no excitement there, right? If you're just talking about, if you're like a generic gamer, then you don't think about any of this stuff anyway, right? You just think about what game's coming out, and that's it, right? But we do think about what's coming in the future. That's why we talk about next gen consoles, and we talk about everything else, because it's like, yeah, we play the games that are here now, but we also like to know what's coming, right? We want to know what's in our future, so this is part of what we do. And that's just the reality. And honestly, right now, PlayStation's kind of fucked, man. They're kind of fucked. People don't want to be there, right? That's the thing. That's a place you're supposed to want to be if you're a big dog, right? Like, you want to go work there. Like, oh my god, I work at PlayStation. Like that. Like, maybe some new people might feel that way, but like veterans, they're not. Look, they're out. They're like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm going to Xbox, right? That is a significant turn of events, right? And I mean, I think that signals a lot of good things to come, right? You got people wanting to come work there. You got them growing studios, building more studios, buying more studios. They're going to get more publishers. This is just the future that we have. Did you find anything on Drew Murray? Was that right?
So I did. He lists, this is on LinkedIn, Feb 2021 to Feb 2024, that he was back at Insomniac running on Spider-Man 2.
So he was part of that big firing. Oh, so they let him go. Well,
I'm guessing so.
I mean, I'm not saying
he doesn't see anything.
He's not
listing anything else. Yeah.
But karma's a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should just stood where you were, figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. The place you thought you were going back to. Look what they did. It's fucked up, but it's the reality. All right. Any last words on this, on Perfect Dark, on PlayStation situation, on Xbox situation? I mean, look, we actually, like, we talked about, I had another topic that was in there, but we kind of talked about it, which was just Xbox's, the fact that they're banking, right? Like, their numbers are up, they're making more money, right? In a world where, if you listen to social media, they'll tell you that Xbox is dying. They'll tell you that Xbox is not worth getting, that Xbox doesn't have anything good going on. But we know they're on the rise. We saw their numbers, they're making money, which is what they want. And there's not a little bit of money, they're making substantial money. They have substantial growth in everywhere that matters, right? And that's going to be what pushes them forward and makes them do more.